All right, here we go, guys, and we are in a windy Long Island. I'm aboard my Eastward 24. You know, we've done a few videos on this boat, you know, while it was being built, then our first ride in it, initial impressions, 100-hour update, and now, after a year and a half, we are at 505 hours. See it right there. Yeah, so we added about 300 hours this year on the boat, and I figured why not do a 500-hour service, a year and a half of ownership. And those of you that follow my channel regularly know that I run a charter business. That's my full-time gig. So yeah, 300 hours this year on the boat. We're in mid-November. I think today is November 12th. Yesterday was Veterans Day. Blown out of my charter today, but it's actually not that bad. We're in Peconic Bay. We would be running into more open water than here. Notwithstanding that, allegedly it was going to be 25 to 30. It's more like 15 to 20. I do have the wireless mic on with little wind protection, but we'll do our best to stay out of the wind. And what I'm going to talk about in this video, likes, dislikes, issues I've had with the boat, and some new additions. So let's talk about likes, and maybe we'll get back on the wheel. I have the engines running. Definitely like number one is how this boat planes off, and we'll see if we can get a little shot of that here. Just put it in gear. And let me just get the wheel straightened. Doing this with one hand. We'll point west here towards our home base in Southold. Hopefully the audio comes out okay. And you know, we'll give her the beans and just focus on that bow. And I think you'll see, and we've shown this before, how the boat just basically pops on plane. So here we go. And she's literally on plane. I mean, it's incredible how there's no bow rise on this boat. It's just amazing. Yep, the low 24. I'll give her the beans a little. We got twin 225 Mercs on here. Again, it's only a 24-foot boat, but it feels like a bigger boat. Everybody who comes on the boat tells me they're shocked that this is a 24-footer. Going about 33, 34 right now at 4,000 RPM. Just incredible. And we'll slow it down here so we can continue chatting. Yeah, the ability to plane is remarkable. I can be going 13, 14 miles an hour and I'm actually on plane. Rarely do I ever need to do that. Rarely am I ever caught in seas where it dictates that. And yeah, another one of the big likes, the ride. Bay chop, you don't feel it. There's that old adage when people talk about cats that you could be drinking coffee while you're in 2-footers or 3-footers. That's absolutely true in this boat. Bay chop, at least, you feel nothing. It just slices right through it. Notwithstanding that, I have noticed when I'm in the ocean, and I do a lot of ocean fishing, the longer period waves, again, you'll see here's the bow of the boat. There's the stern. It's a fully bracketed boat, so it's 23 feet 8 inches to this part right here, and then add another 3 feet for that bracket, that integrated bracket. But you know, it's labeled as a 24. Some would argue it's a real 24. Some will argue it's a 27 because of the bracket. But the ride is incredible, except right conditions in the ocean, you may have to slow down because you can't span the longer period swells. But hey, any smaller boat, that's going to be an issue. That's the one time I wish I had the 30. But I did mention that I'm a full-time charter captain, so the fuel economy is fantastic. I pretty much average 2 miles a gallon across the board. Incredible fuel range. I have, and apologies in advance, I have no running water now for 1 full week at my dock. Last Wednesday they shut it off. So the boat's a little dirty. We're doing our best to clean it, you know, with salt water. I hate saying that, but there's no running water. But I'll show you here. We got 80 gallons in there now. 4,689 gallons have been burned on this boat since the day I took delivery. So I took delivery last March. Apologies, the camera just shut off on me. So what I was saying was I took the delivery of the boat in mid-March. It was splashed in mid-May, and in that time I've added the 500 hours and burned the 4,689 gallons of fuel. These are the twin 225 marks. Add them to the light column, the real light column. I mean, these motors are fantastic. They're so torquey. I believe they're either 3.4 or 3.6 liter blocks, naturally aspirated. They have a ton of power. I can plane on one engine. Just great motors. Perfect fit for this boat. If you were building a 24, this is what I recommend you go with. No issues there, except this motor did have a warranty issue, but it was so minor it didn't affect anything. The 100-hour service in July this year, I had it taken care of. There was a slight leak with the trim tilt hydraulic assembly, and when I'd leave the boat for a couple days and come back, the motor would be about 6 to 8 inches lower than the port motor. So not a big deal, covered under warranty. The only other thing that broke down on the boat was the vessel view here. It stopped communicating with the engines again that same July service period. My dealer, who's a fantastic Merc dealer out here, Albertsons, they fixed that. It was just a bad connection with an EMEA 2000 system. Easy fix. Those are the only two little issues I've had with these motors in 500 hours, and again, none of this affected anything. I was still able to run my trips. The trim tilt was literally nothing. It was just annoying to come back if I wasn't using the boat the next day and notice that the one engine was a little lower. This was a little bit of a hassle because I don't have gauges, as you can see. Everything is integrated into here. I have it on the fuel setting now. Your RPMs, the amount of fuel you hold, all that. So not having that was, I was just going by GPS speed. I run the boat enough hours that I know, if I'm going 32 miles an hour, that's around 4,050 RPM. So that's just how I operated for the 50 hours or so until it came in for the service. A couple of other things that we can add to the not like category, I guess. Those lights up here, your nav lights, they died this year, and if you read some of the complaints on the Eastward Facebook owners group, you'll see that this seems to be a common issue. There's a little bit of water that will get in as you're running and eventually corrode those out. Rather than spend money on new lights and taking that out and the costs involved with that, I got that little unit up there. Super easy to install. It's just 2 Velcro strips, 3 AA batteries, and there's a button on there. Turn it on when you want to run them, hit the button to turn it off. Easy cheesy. It doesn't move. It's been planted there for quite a while now. Real easy fix. My big issue with the boat, and it's not that big an issue, but it's the one thing, if I were designing this boat, I would change, and I've communicated this to Eastward. These hatches, so they are not watertight. They are guttered, but there's no drain in the gutter. So I think most boats, boats that I've owned, these access hatches will have, and these are the hatches to the Bilge here. They'll literally have a little weep hole with a hose that'll come out here to one of these, drains over there, and any water, any debris that gets in, it just makes its way to the weep hole and exits the boat. Everything goes down into my Bilge. So that's something I don't like. Now, over the winter, that's going to be an upgrade. That's going to be like the last big upgrade I do to the boat. We are going to replace these hatches. One of the local fiberglass guys, Jimmy Woodhull, is going to install custom watertight, debris-tight, proof, if you will, hatches on both sides. So yeah, a little bit of annoyance. It's not that big a deal. The other thing I don't like, speaking of this hatch, the Bilges that come standard with the Eastwards, I'm going to try to get out of the wind, because now, of course, when I want to film this video, it's howling. The boat comes standard, I believe, with 600 gallon per hour bilge pumps. Because they're not watertight, when it rains, you know, water gets down there, and then when you're running, because this boat sits so flat when we're on land that any water that does get down there doesn't necessarily go to the back. It just kind of evenly spreads through in the sponsoons. Once you start running, all that water goes to the back and the bilge pump runs. And when it's only 600 gallons per hour, it takes a while. If there's, you know, 50 gallons in there or whatever it might be, it's never been dangerous. We've had storms out here with a ton of rain. It's never been an issue, but still, it's annoying to hear those bilges and see that light on for so long. So I did, with one of the services this year, I did have the bilge pumps upgraded to 2,000 gallons per hour. And again, you know, if you're building one of these boats, just upgrade the bilges from the start at the factory. It's a super easy fix. Yeah, the other upgrades to the boat since our last update at 100 hours, we added this washdown hose, which would be great with no running water to help me clean the boat, except like every other washdown hose I've ever owned, come August or September, the pump died. So, you know, we're gonna have it fixed in the spring when we recommission her. And if you have a good recommendation for a pump that won't die after 6 months of use, please let me know in the comments. I would love to get a good pump. I've tried to do some research on it, can't seem to find a pump that everybody agrees on. But my favorite upgrade since our last video is this. Tommy with, I think, Hot Pass Fabrication, I think that's the name of the company. He's here in the Hamptons in Long Island. He built this for me in either May or June of this year. It's a beautiful cutting board. It's just perfectly he came down to the boat a couple times, and again, that's my fish box. It's a live well, it functions perfectly, but I use it as a fish box. It's sturdy because of no running water. He created this so it doesn't interfere with this coming up, with the live well lid coming up, and it doesn't interfere, as you'll see in the back, with the 5 rod holders I have behind each live well. We have 5 more on that side. It has saved me so much time and effort when I'm out here running a charter. In the past, I'd have to wait till we got to the dock to fillet the fish, and you know, that could take a while, especially if you catch a lot of fish. And now I can do it most days while we're running the boat. Again, I'm trying to get out of the wind here. While we're running the boat, while we're out fishing, my clients are fishing. I tell them, if you guys need help, just holler. Otherwise, I'm going to be cutting fish back here. Makes it real easy to cut fish. One other little minor thing we bought off Amazon. This is called a Morjor. I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's a garbage chute. I did have the one that Sea Sucker makes. I had it up here. It just disintegrated after, I don't know, 3 months, 2 months. I bought that 2 seasons now, or you know, more than half of last season, all of this season. Used every day. Garbage gets put in there every day. 0 issues. As far as the rest of the boat goes, it's doing great. 300 gallons of fuel we hold. You know, I try to keep it at 200 or less, just for the running attitude and the weight, but no issues running it with 300 gallons. It does offer a ton of range when you have that much fuel. It's such a small boat. Everything's held up great again, other than my dislike of those hatches and the running lights. I couldn't be happier with this purchase. I think for what I paid, and I was 150 something with a really nice trailer and those motors, and then factor in I had the electronics done here. I was all in with taxes, 183,000, you know, for a custom boat built the way I want it, and it does great on my charters and it runs great. And the number one thing that clients remark when we're out in, you know, a heavy chop is just how impressed they are with the ride of the boat. It's just a very comfortable boat to ride in. I also, you know, being out on the water as many hours as I am every year, there's very little side-to-side rocking like you get when you're drift fishing, which most of our fishing is either on the hook or drift fishing. You just don't really get a lot of that side-to-side that monohulls get. And yeah, I don't get land sick, as I call it, when I get home. Just really happy with the purchase. You know, since I put my deposit down on the boat, the company is now run by Rip Pratt and his wife Dana. Just fantastic people to deal with. Highly recommend if you're going to build one, you know, reach out to me. You can comment here. You can email me at jiggingjerks@gmail.com. Happy to walk you through any questions you have. You know, things I like, things I don't like. I've already mentioned them here. I've mentioned them in some of the other videos, but I would still buy one if I had to do it all over again. I don't regret my decision at all. And yeah, we top out at about 50 miles an hour when it's just me on the boat. If we have a full load, 5 people, including myself, for charter fishing, all our gear, it's more like 47, 48. We're pretty much at 2 miles a gallon to about 34, 35 miles an hour. We drop a little after that, but yeah, for the amount of fuel I burn, the amount of hours I put on the boat, the ability to make money, it really it's predicated largely in part to your fuel. And 4,600 plus gallons is a lot of fuel, but if I had my old CV, that number would likely be more like 6,000 or 7,000 gallons for the same amount of hours. So that adds up at $4.56 a gallon, which is what we pay here on the water by me. So yeah, so feel free to ask any questions. If I forgot anything, I'll do a postscript. I'll do a little voiceover after this video is over, but this was meant to just be a short update. 500 hours, how the boat is handling, you know, things I've liked and not liked in those 500 hours, a couple little upgrades we've done, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you like these videos, hit that like button. If you're not already a subscriber and you like content like this, please consider subscribing. And if you're not already a member of the channel, please consider joining. Lots of perks associated with that, including early access to videos. And yeah, just a short postscript. Number one, apologies for all that wind noise. Obviously, I don't know that when I'm filming, I'm editing, I feel it, I hear it when I'm editing. Running footage, 32 miles an hour. We're burning 15.4 gallons an hour. So yeah, over 2 miles a gallon. Like I said, the economy is incredible. You'll see it shown here 118 gallons. I go by fuel burned. That gauge typically to me runs a little low. And you can see we're running through a moderate chop here. Nothing crazy, but not flat calm either. Just reinforces what I said about the way the boat rides. You can see how flat it's riding here and consistently 2+ miles a gallon.